In 2017, I uploaded a video that massively helped my channel gain some recognition. The playlist that I am referring to was the Deadliest Yautja playlist, which all began with me trying to decipher which was the deadliest predator in the cinematic universe. However, in the 5 years since, there have been another 2 films that introduced 3 more hulking hunters that could lay claim for being the most formidable individuals of this fictional species. As a result, I am now resurrecting my Deadly series to see if my opinion from half a decade ago has changed. Will these lethal challengers usurp the throne, or will my previous winner continue to reign supreme as the Deadliest Yautja in the cinematic universe? Since 1987, we have seen a wide array of Yautja, so in order to narrow it down, I'm only considering predators from the cinematic universe. In order to keep the video succinct, I will only explore hunters who actively participated in the hunt. Therefore, certain clan leaders and elders may be ruled out, as we do not have enough evidence of their hunting prowess. Admittedly, their stories have been expanded in subsequent stories, such as in comics or video games. However, if it did not happen in the film, it does not qualify for this list. Those predators will be analysed in another upload later this year. Furthermore, I want to make it clear that this list focuses on the hunting prowess of each individual. Although strength and fighting skills do come into the equation, we are not concerned with which predator is the best hand-to-hand combatant or physically the strongest. This contest does not take place in the octagon, but in the field. It is not about the deadliest fighter, but the deadliest hunter. It will measure which predator is the best at being a predator. With the rules of the hunt clarified, I will begin by acknowledging the 3 contenders who were introduced to audiences after my original upload. The first Yautja is the Fugitive, who made his big screen debut in 2018's The Predator. Unfortunately, there is no way I can even think about putting this hapless hunter on my list, as it made a catalogue of catastrophic errors. This hunter's intelligence may have been impaired by its hybrid origins, as it decided to fulfill its aim of assisting mankind from a Yautja invasion by killing the very people it was trying to help. Additionally, this predator would get itself captured before trying to go toe-to-toe with the larger upgrade predator, which ultimately sealed its brutal fate. This brings me on to my next contender in the aforementioned upgrade or assassin predator. Standing at a colossal 11 feet and weighing in excess of 700 pounds, this Yautja made light work of the Fugitive, which it pummeled into an oblivion before tearing its head off. Additionally, it would use its might to tear through houses and people with ease. Therefore, this is a deadly predator, but remember what I said, hand-to-hand combat and strength are only some of the elements these hunters are being judged on. For more accurate examples of its deadliness, we must look at its hunting skills. These qualities were elucidated when it hunted Rory McKenna. The evolved predator would utilise a vast array of weaponry within its wrist gauntlets to annihilate its outmatched opponents, but despite possessing an organic cloak, it seemed to prefer a more head-on approach and use less stealth than other Yautja. In addition to this, its exoskeletal bulletproof skin may have encouraged its close quarters approach further, as it took more damage than otherwise necessary. Despite being highly durable, the evolved was not invulnerable and was affected when shot in the head at point-blank range. Ultimately, its own weapons were used against him, as it was dismembered by the ship's force field before being obliterated by its wrist gauntlet's weapon system. As a result, I feel that the evolved's greatest strengths also proved to be its greatest weaknesses and undoing. His increased size perhaps served as a hindrance rather than a help on the hunt, because it gave away its own position whilst crashing through the trees. Furthermore, his superior strength and durability saw him abandon the stealthy tactics associated with his kind for a more head-on approach. This complacency is inevitably what got him killed, as he was no more cunning or agile than a regular predator. If this list were about the strongest Yautja, the evolved would win hands down. In all fairness, this Yautja could prove victorious against any other on my list in unarmed hand-to-hand combat. However, this list is not about the strongest or most powerful Yautja, it is about the deadliest, therefore strength and durability are only 2 of many deadly traits. In actual fact, part of me wants to disqualify this individual altogether simply because he is genetically enhanced. As a predator who has been engineered with the collective DNA of other dangerous species, is he even really a Yautja? In any combat sport, we would disqualify participants who took performance-enhancing drugs, yet alone spliced their DNA with that of other creatures. Despite all its size, strength and weaponry, the upgrade could still not kill a man and his infant son. As a result, this predator is downgraded and fails to make my top 5. My third and final contender for the top 5 list is from the most recent movie. 2022's Prey introduced audiences to a more primitive Yautja that has been named the feral predator. This hunter arrived in Lawton, Oklahoma during 1719 to hunt a range of Earth's deadliest creatures. Resembling a primal Neanderthal-like Yautja, this individual was heavily muscled and proved to be incredibly strong as it was capable of pressing a bear overhead. As a result, this Yautja could almost rival the evolved for raw strength and also shared its preference for close quarters combat. It utilised brute savagery to kill the French trappers and Comanche warriors in devastating fashion. Furthermore, this Yautja was incredibly durable as well and endured a range of physical damage before succumbing to its injuries. Therefore, there are a lot of parallels between the feral and evolved predator. They are both immensely strong, they are heavily muscled, highly durable, and have a preference for close quarters combat. Despite this, however, the feral does have some flaws as a hunter that cannot be ignored. For instance, it seemed to get injured in every exchange with its prey, and as a result, seemed rather careless in its approach. Further to this, it also seemed to lack intelligence and made a series of rudimentary errors during the hunt, which included shooting itself in the head with its own weapon, causing its untimely demise. However, the main reason why I cannot place this Yautja on my top 5 list is due to the omission of a major weapon, the lack of a plasma caster. No matter how strong this predator is, it would have no chance against other warriors who have access to arguably the most formidable Yautja weapon. Remember, this is not about the toughest fighter or strongest individual, it is about the deadliest hunter. To cut a long story short, the feral brought an arrow to a gunfight. With my 3 contenders from the newer movies ruled out, I now turn my attention to my personal top 5 deadliest predators from the cinematic universe. We begin at number 5 with 2010's Predators, which presented audiences with a larger subspecies of Yautja known as the Super Predators. This Yautja clan was led by the cruel and merciless Berserker. Named after the elite Viking warriors who thought that they were bears and went berserk in battle, the Berserker predator certainly lived up to its name. Unlike most Yautja, the Berserker did not adhere to any honor code, and it was this trait that made him so deadly. The Berserker heartlessly killed whatever opposed him, regardless of whether they were unarmed or injured. Often attacking when he had the advantage, the Berserker was a merciless killer, even when it came to his own kind. This was clearly elucidated when he engaged his rather exhausted and lightly armed rival, known as the Crucified Predator, in combat. Instead of making it a fair fight, the Berserker chose to use his formidable Gatling-type plasma caster against his knackered foe. Ultimately, the Berserker brutally decapitated his rival with his elongated wrist blade. The combination of his massive size, strength, and advanced weaponry made this predator particularly deadly. However, I do not place him any higher than 5th for 2 main reasons. Firstly, despite overpowering killing the weakened Crucified Predator, it was still abundantly clear that the Berserker was involved in a tough fight. Any predator that claims to be the deadliest would surely make very light work of a smaller, weakened, and lightly armed rival. Moreover, I do have a personal issue with the film Predators, as I feel that the premise weakens the aura of the Yautja as the galaxy's greatest hunters. This is because the Super Predators play on home turf. By kidnapping their quarry and placing them on the game-preserved planet, their prey are at a disadvantage. As Amar Habib wrote in his short Predator story, Lion of the Himalayas, knowledge of the terrain was the greatest advantage in any war. Additionally, There were 3 predators in this film, and they still failed to prevail against a hashed-together team of Earth's deadliest people. Now just compare this to the Jungle Hunter's exploits. It arrived on an alien planet alone and obliterated a seasoned team of elite soldiers. Before they knew what had hit them, there was only one remaining person to take on the otherworldly hunter. Now just imagine what would have happened if there were 3 Jungle Hunters. Everyone, including Dutch, would have been left hanging from a tree. If you are going to have 3 Yautja, then the human characters should have no chance. Conversely, if all the predators die, then the film ultimately weakens them as elite killers. Although later text expanded on and augmented the Berserker's achievements as the youngest Yautja to kill a Xenomorph, it still did not deter from the events of the film, where this Yautja failed on a mission on home turf, whilst assisted by 2 other hunters. Due to this, I still cannot place the Berserker any higher than 5th place. To be the deadliest predator, you would need to pick fights with someone or something that is as large or larger than yourself. This brings us on to my 4th place entry. AVP was the Yautja's first cinematic encounter with the equally deadly Xenomorphs. Generally around 7 to 8 feet tall and roughly 180 kilograms in weight, the Xenomorphs tend to be larger than even the biggest Yautja. Furthermore, their long muscular tails, acidic blood and extendable inner jaws make them formidable adversaries. It was in this movie where we met 3 unblooded Yautja who were on their initiation hunt. However, from the inception of the mission, they seemed destined to fail as human interference saw their hunt become more challenging as they lost their plasma casters. Of the 3 hunters, it was Scar who showed the most potential as he killed several humans and was the only member to slay a Xenomorph. Much like the Berserker, Scar had the assistance of 2 other predators, but unlike the Berserker, he was on foreign soil and was facing far deadlier threats. Additionally, Scar would need to fend for himself as he lost his fellow hunters who fell victim to the Xenomorphs earlier on. His human kills included Bass, whom he impaled with his combi stick, and Wayland Bishop, who he stabbed with his wrist blades. Initially, Scar showed his Yautja honor code by sparing Wayland after he noticed his cancer-ridden lungs. It was only after Wayland attacked him with a flamethrower that he decided to kill his foe in self-defense. Later on, Scar would kill a facehugger and a warrior Xenomorph, becoming a blooded predator in the process. Although Scar utilised his wrist blades and combi stick effectively, his most proficient use of a weapon was the shuriken. Scar skillfully dispatched multiple Xenomorphs with no more than a simple flick of this throwing blade. Although killing multiple aliens is a highly impressive feat, it is not what put Scar on my list. This hunter's most awe-inspiring achievement was defeating a Xenomorph queen. Standing between 15 to 20 feet and weighing up to 10 tons, the alien queen is a very impressive beast indeed. Not only are these egg layers said to be the largest, but arguably the strongest and most intelligent Xenomorph casts. Armed with a razor-sharp barb on her tail and jaws filled with needle-like teeth that are several inches long, the queen is a lethal opponent for any Yautja. Throughout the film, it was Scar's ingenuity and intelligence that made him such a deadly predator, a skill set that eventually saw him defeat the queen. Scar cleverly chained the queen to the whaling camp's cast iron separating vat and pushed it into the sea. Ultimately, the enormous weight dragged the queen into the dark depths of the Antarctic's frozen waters. Despite this being a highly impressive victory for a young blood Yautja, Scar only remains in 4th place on my list. The simple reason for this is that he needed the assistance of Lex to defeat the queen. Furthermore, Scar was mortally wounded by the alien as he was impaled by the barb on her tail. So, the question of whether he could kill a queen alone has to be a resounding no. Finally, Scar's most commendable asset being his intelligence is ironically the trait that lets him down. This was when Scar decided to remove his biomask in order to mark himself with the acidic blood of the facehugger. However, before he could put the mask back on, a second facehugger attacked, subduing and infecting him with a chestburster. Surely, more care could have been taken whilst performing this ritual. It was this moment of sheer carelessness that went against the grain of the character and resulted in the birth of the abomination that sealed the fate of his unsuspecting clan. Perhaps if Scar lived, he may have had the potential of becoming the deadliest Yautja in the cinematic universe. My next choice may prove highly controversial and cause a lot of disagreement amongst other Predator fans. However, I cannot make ranking videos to appease others and must be honest with myself. I truly believe that the City Hunter is a deadly individual that deserves his third place ranking. In Predator 2, we were introduced to the City Hunter, who specifically travelled to Earth in order to hunt man after witnessing the events in Valverde, which led to the demise of the Jungle Hunter. Conducting his hunt during the heatwave of Los Angeles in 1997, this Yautja eliminated the members of two rival gangs who were involved in a turf war. He eventually came into conflict with both a government task force attempting to capture him and veteran LAPD detective Lieutenant Mike Harrigan. One of the factors that made the City Hunter so deadly was his vast array of weaponry. Heavily armed with a range of lethal munitions and advanced technology, this Yautja seemed to rely less on his plasmacaster and had a preference for close quarters combat. Just consider the way he showcased his fighting skills against numerous task force members within the slaughterhouse. Some of the City Hunter's most notable weaponry includes a net gun, energy flechette, combi stick, and smart disc. However, it was not just his varied arsenal that made the City Hunter so deadly, but the way in which he used them. It could be argued that this Predator's killing methods were some of the most gruesome, as he decapitated, deboned, flayed, and impaled his way through the rival gangs and police force. Arguably, his most grotesque kill was that of government task force member Peter Keyes, whom he sliced in two with his smart disc. Moreover, this Predator did not only use brute savagery to dispatch his victims, but intelligence as well. His strategic acumen was witnessed as he suspected the presence of the task force in the slaughterhouse. The City Hunter would scan through his vision modes to track and outmaneuver Keyes' men via their spotlights. In addition to this, the City Hunter used psychological warfare to terrorize his victims and gain the upper hand. He would taunt Harrigan with a necklace of his deceased partner Danny and echo some chilling words to Jerry in the subway before killing him. I feel that the City Hunter has one of the most terrifying auras in the cinematic universe, resulting in the superstitious King Willie believing him to be a demonic entity from the other side. The final elements that put this Predator at number 3 include its physical attributes. Said to be 8 feet tall, this was one of the larger Predators to appear on the big screen, and it often used its sheer strength to devastating effect. However, the City Hunter's durability was perhaps its most impressive trait. During the course of this film, it persevered in battle after being blasted by liquid nitrogen, being shot several times at close range, and having his arm severed. Clearly, this was one of the toughest Predators in the cinematic universe, as he continued to fight to the bitter end, where he met his demise at the hands of Detective Harrigan. Many fans of the franchise may argue that I have overrated the City Hunter because he was defeated by an older cop. However, please do not confuse Mike Harrigan with Roger Murtaugh from the Lethal Weapon movies. Although they are played by the same actor, they are not the same age. Murtaugh is older, which is why he has the greying hair and moustache, whereas Harrigan is missing these features. By no means is Harrigan a has-been cop, but to the contrary, an incredibly hardened and persistent lieutenant who will break the rules to defeat his foe. By the end of the film, he clearly has the respect of the Predators, who honour him for his impressive victory. Despite being one of the toughest Yautja, the City Hunter is not the deadliest for one reason, and that is the quality of his opposition. Taking on some rival gangs, a government task force, and police officers is impressive. However, the deadliest Predator would need to hunt much worthier prey. Some might say elite prey, and that brings us on to my number 2 entry. It all began during the summer of 1987 as we were introduced to the original Predator, also known as the Jungle Hunter, and more ominously, the demon who makes trophies of man. This Yautja was so deadly that he became something of a local legend in Valverde, as reports of butchered men without their skins were discovered. Therefore, not only does this predator have the brutality, he also has the worthy opposition, as he initially took out members of a communist insurgency and Jim Hopper's entire team of Special Forces soldiers. Most notably, however, was his engagement of the elite private military team led by Major Alan Dutch Schaefer. We had Mac, previously known as Cook from Commando, Carl Weathers, aka Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies, Sonny Landham, who played several villainous roles and needed a personal bodyguard to protect other people from him, as well as professional wrestler and Navy SEAL Jesse Ventura. Finally, this elite team was led by the biggest action hero of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Therefore, the quality of this predator's opposition could not have been any greater, but ultimately, it is the way in which the jungle hunter decimates this team that puts him so high up on my list. This hunter almost goes unnoticed, as he systematically and effortlessly picks off each member of this unit in the most brutal ways, as can be seen here. Still to this day, the Jungle Hunter has a profound effect on me and remains the only Yautja in the cinematic universe that genuinely creates terror. This hunter would mentally torture its quarry by leaving flayed corpses hanging from trees, mimic its prey at tense moments, and pick off its victims one by one in a horrific hunt. Unlike so many other predators, this Yautja does not charge carelessly into battle and brutalize its opponents, but instead patiently and methodically takes them out before they know what has hit them. More impressively, it manages to accomplish all of this with only two weapons, the plasma caster and its wrist blades. Therefore, this hunter demonstrates impeccable skill and prefers to make the hunt more challenging for itself. This was made abundantly clear in its final showdown with Dutch. Knowing that he could easily kill the soldier with one blast of its plasma caster, this predator decided to fight the sole survivor without the aid of its advanced weaponry. By attempting to level the playing field, the Jungle Hunter made this a fairer fight, however it still massively outmatched its human foe and seemed to toy with him rather than go straight for the kill. Ultimately, the Jungle Hunter had to accept defeat and subsequently self-destructed. Testing yourself against the best in a fair fight is a highly commendable trait, however becoming complacent is what stops this predator from being number one. It was therefore a combination of its honor code and complacency that got him killed, as Dutch was forced to utilize his ingenuity and strategic intelligence to outsmart the alien assassin. Finally, we arrive at number 1, where the Deadliest Predator would need to accept any challenge, even when the odds are stacked against it. So what happens when things go very wrong for the Yautja? How do the predators deal with a situation that is so critical that self-destruction is no longer a valid option? Who do the Yautja call when a predator is impregnated by an alien and the resulting creature needs to be destroyed? In times like this, only an elite predator can be summoned to rectify matters and cover up the mess caused by others. Aptly named Wolf after Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction, this predator was first introduced to audiences in AVP-R. This movie begins after the events of AVP, as Scar's corpse on board the Predator ship gives birth to the monstrosity that is the Predalien. Of all the capable predators on Yautja Prime, it is Wolf that answers the distress call and accepts the deadly challenge. There are certain telltale signs here that this is a lethal predator. For instance, we first see him sitting on a throne-like chair before witnessing the runes on his biomask, which signify his high ranking. Wolf's face also tells a story, with his missing tusk and significant acid burn suggesting previous battles with the Xenomorphs and other deadly prey. The fact that he alone immediately answers the distress call suggests that this could be his occupation, almost like a Yautja's version of a Special Forces operative. Just like the City Hunter, this Yautja was heavily armed with an array of deadly weapons that had never been seen before. These included dissolving liquid, a bladed whip, laser mines, a power punch glove, an extra plasma caster that could be adapted into a plasma pistol. Additionally, this Predator could also be brutal when necessary. This was demonstrated when Deputy Ray caught sight of the Predator melting Buddy and Sam Benson's dead bodies. After killing the fleeing deputy with his wrist blades, Wolf skinned his corpse before hanging it on a tree. Other deadly traits that Wolf possessed were his ingenuity and intelligence. These qualities were showcased when he tracked the residue of the facehuggers to the town sewers. Once there, he cleverly set 3 laser nets to contain the Xenomorphs and used himself as bait to draw them into his cunning trap. But do not be mistaken, this is not a Yautja that relies on intelligence over strength, as he has both in abundance. Nothing stresses this point more than when he manages to subdue 2 Xenomorphs simultaneously within the sewer. In AVP, a single Xenomorph was more than a match for any of the unblooded predators. What was most impressive about Wolf here is that he battled them both without the use of any weaponry. This elite hunter also proved to be a highly durable predator, which was elucidated when a Xenomorph pushed him down an elevator shaft and onto a protruding piece of metal. Despite being badly wounded, he continued in his relentless pursuit of the Predalien. Finally, Wolf had very worthy opposition in the shape of the Xenomorphs and the monstrous Predalien. Undeterred at being outmatched by the larger hybrid, Wolf dueled it in a one-on-one fight using nothing but his bare hands. During this encounter, Wolf managed to tear off the Predalien's inner jaw and impaled it through the head with his wrist blades before being stabbed by the abomination's tail. The final outcome of this battle was unclear, as both creatures were obliterated by a nuclear bomb from a US F-22 Raptor. It is highly likely that these antagonists would have killed each other in an epic exchange. So to conclude, let's look at what is required to be the deadliest predator. Firstly, you would need the size and ruthless nature of the Berserker, the intelligence and ingenuity of Scar, the brutality, weaponry, and durability of the City Hunter, and finally, the Jungle Hunter's elite opposition. I feel that our final Yautja, Wolf, has all of these traits in abundance, which is why he is still my deadliest predator in the cinematic universe. Despite there being 2 additional films and 3 more cinematic predators since I first made this video, my top 5 list has remained the same. I can fully understand why many people may argue that I have got the ranking order of this list wrong, and I completely respect their opinion. I am open to debate on the order of numbers 5 to 2, however I truly believe that I got number 1 right. Wolf is exactly what I imagine when I think of a deadly predator. A more formidable Yautja should not be defined by its superior size or incredible strength, because they were not the traits that gave the character its notoriety. The original movie depicted a stealthy assassin that utilized advanced weaponry to systematically hunt its unsuspecting victims one by one. Therefore, do not think of Wolf as a mightier Yautja, but a more advanced version of the Jungle Hunter. Yes, perhaps in a cage fight, the upgrade predator could defeat Wolf, but in the field, Wolf would run rings around the oversized assassin. With this impressive victory, Wolf qualifies for the All-Star Final, where I try to decipher the ultimate deadliest Yautja. Of course, these are just my opinions on the deadliest cinematic predators, and if you do not agree with them, then I hope that you at least enjoyed the video. If you did, then please join me again as I try to determine the deadliest Yautja in the gaming universe.